Imagine what would have happened if back in Paul and Peter's day, when Paul and Peter had their conflict, if we'd have had Facebook back then, if we'd have had these new IFBers out there, these I'm so new IFBers inserting their 2 cents, Paul, do you think Peter's a reprobate? Paul, do you think is Peter even saved? Paul, what's going on here? If they had gotten themselves involved and had a platform and had something to say, they'd have gotten so ugly. When Peter's writing about Paul later, he wouldn't have been saying our beloved brother Paul. At some point, they got things right. If the new IFB would have got involved in the situation with the Apostle Paul and John Mark, they would have made sure John Mark got reprobated. It would have been so bad, John Mark would have looked at that and like, you know what, it was tough. It was tough taking the rebuke from the Apostle Paul. I got a lot of respect for that man. I've always looked up to him. But man, we got a disagreement here. I think he's wrong in this situation. If he would have had all these clowns attaching themselves to the Apostle Paul and just hammering him, you're a reprobate, John Mark. You're a quitter. You stink. I knew you were an infiltrator from day one. I knew that you were bad. I had you marked from the beginning. Wait till you see the file I'm about to release about you on Facebook. If John Mark would have heard all that stuff, he'd have been like, you know what? I don't ever want to have anything to do with that crowd. I don't ever want to touch that again with a 10-foot pole. And you know what? We wouldn't have seen Paul and John Mark getting right later. We wouldn't have seen Paul writing about him later and tell him to bring him because he's profitable to him. We wouldn't have seen that if we had the same kind of junk and the same kind of stupidity that we have in Christianity today. People that just don't know how to stand. Yes, we see conflict with these guys in the Bible. And you know what? But they dealt with it like men. Yes, sir. And they didn't deal with it with a mob of lunatics all getting involved. A mob of just unqualified, poor testimony, novices inserting themselves into it. They didn't have that, but that's what we have today, thanks to social media. And you better figure out how to conduct yourself in these things. You better figure out how to act.